This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Let's hear Brad and Ray on JMO. I think this is just the Brad clip, but talking about how he's kind of matured and why he loves football, which is great to hear, by the way. Love this, but let's hear from Brad himself.
You could clearly tell he's put the work in, and he's been working even harder, and it means something to him. I mean, this kid loves football. I mean, he loves football, and I think it's very evident in the results that you saw this training camp, that the work that he's put in, just like Ray was saying, the route running, everything, just him working with L, working with golf, just doing all those things in the off season and preparation. He's got some good guys in that room. Obviously, you have an elite player like St. Brown, and forget the performance, but how his intangibles are, and Khalif Raymond. I mean, he's got really good guys to look upon and follow. But he's seen how they work, and but you can see the results that's shown in camp. You could clearly tell he's put the.
I mean, that to me is the most important thing. Like, yeah, we know he's talented. We know he can play ball. We know he's fast. But when Corey Woods comes on the show and says, yeah, he's added, it seems like 10, 15 pounds of muscle. Yeah, Brad even mentioned, Ray and Brad mentioned it. He's been working with Jared Goff in the offseason. He's working with Amon-Ra, or he's at least working with his own individual trainers, whatever it is, getting better. That's like the most important thing to me. And I think Brad even mentioned this today, speaking to the media, which I thought was great. Some things are blessings in disguise, and I think that's a big life lesson for a lot of people. Some things happen, and it takes you some time. You're frustrated, like JMO being out most of the first season and the second season getting suspended. Like, looking at it, not in hindsight, but at the time, it's like, damn, like the guy can't catch a break, or whatever. But looking at it now, I mean, he had all that time to drill the offense into his head, work on his game, mature, both physically and mentally. And look at where he's expected to. I mean, he crushed training. He crushed the offseason. Like, if you had to highlight a player that stole the offseason, it would be him. Like, there wouldn't be any other player that impressed the most. And it would be JMO. So that's what I love to hear, is JMO taking the next steps, not just like, yeah, again, we know he's fast. It's not like the guy can get faster. But the other parts of his game, his route running looks way more sharper. And for a wide receiver room that we do talk about a lot, even for guys, the wide receiver 4, whatever it is, he's going to have a lot of responsibility this year to show up. And they even mentioned how his hands have improved. So everything they spoke on about JMO, guys, it's great news. I mean, this is a player that's going into this year to really show not just the Lions and not just Lions fans, but the NFL, who Jameson Williams is. Like, he's going to put himself on the map. And it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. Hey guys, I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. Currently, BetUS is offering you a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits for up to $2,000. Now, terms and conditions apply. Please bet responsibly. Link will be in the description. Sign up using our link. And with the football season coming around, Detroit Lions fans, you want to make some extra money. Well, there are lines that are currently out there that I like. For example, and I'll show you this one. Aiden Hutchinson is plus 1,200 to win Defensive Player of the Year. If I'm telling you right now, that is favorable. Good odds on a player that is expected to have a monster year. Only on BetUS.com. Check it out. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah, the biggest thing to me is what I love about JMO and Jeff. Like, I think you're spot on with all of that. Like, JMO the last 2 years, I know, like, you don't want to go through an ACL injury and you don't want to go through a gambling suspension that you should have never been suspended for in the first place. But, like, all of it may be a blessing in disguise to where you look at it like, hey, JMO's, like, developed and he has, like, learned the NFL, like, the Ben Johnson offense. And he has absolutely dialed it in. Like, do you guys remember a year ago, last summer, like 4th of July, when people are going at him for just having like lighting fireworks. Like people are going at him for
People are always
handing
like,
out
his
water
parent-
to kids on the street. Like it was just like, it was ridiculous what was happening with J-Mo and the mindset that some people had over him and then what he was doing. It's like, hey, this guy, he's a great human, first of all, a great person, and he's a great football player. And like, yes, if he would have not had the ACL injury, he goes probably top 7 in the NFL draft. If not before that, like he was an elite, like he was single-handedly helping Alabama win the SEC championship game versus Georgia, and then should have won a national championship game before he gets hurt. Like this guy is elite. And I know that, and I hate the people that are like, well, that was a couple years ago. Guys, like we know what Jameson Williams can do. He did it at a very, very high level in college football. And I think, honestly, I put out the highlights on our Twitter and our Instagram the other day of him in Alabama. I think you see him get back to that this year, just even at a higher level because you're in the NFL. But I think you're going to see a different Jameson Williams that some people have not realized that the Lions have yet. Like, you're going to see the Jameson Williams that could have gone top 5 in the NFL draft. Like, think about guys who have gone that high in the NFL draft, the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases. Like, you're going to see a Jameson Williams, and then you get to pair that with Amon-Ra St. Brown, a top 10, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL last year. Like, I don't think people realize in Detroit what's happening. And hey, I was one of the people too. And listen, I've been pretty good at this recently. I was one of the people to just sit back and say, hey, I wasn't hard on J-Mo, and I wasn't going at him for the good things that he was doing, but I was questioning, like, is he going to be able to step up and take the Josh Reynolds role? He's not going to be able to just do that, guys. He's going to exceed. And, like, I think there's an opportunity here to where you're looking at a massive year for Jameson Williams, and at the end of the season, potentially, you could be like, are you sending 2 wide receivers to the Pro Bowl this year? Like, that's a legit, like, I think there's a legit question. And I don't think he needs a ton of targets to do it. I think this guy can go out there and do it in 6-7 targets or 5 or 6 catches, and he's breaking off for a 60-yard touchdown. And then that's just like, let's be honest here. That's the type of player he is. That am I wrong, guys? Like that's exactly the type of player he is. And I think there are a lot of people around the NFL sleeping on him.
I just think Jameson Williams, if he reaches 80% of his potential talent-wise, he just makes this offense unfair, because I don't think there's a offense that could kill you from 1,000 cuts more than the Detroit Lions, because you could bring up receiving cores that are very similar. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, as far as having upper-end talent. But then you don't have the running back room. Jameson Williams is going to be an opportunity where, one, he's just the most athletic wide receiver on the field, could be playmaker. You want to look at Jahmyr Gibbs, that's fine. I support that decision. But you look at that, and then you realize that he might even be on someplace the fourth playmaker that they're looking at, because you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you just have Jameson Williams, who runs a 4-2, just slicing through your defense, and he's a guy that can run routes through all 3 levels. So Jameson Williams, he might not be a guy that's going out and getting you 1,000 yards of production every year, but Jameson Williams is just going to be a guy that makes this offense just straight up unfair. I think him and Amon-Ra, if you think Amon-Ra, and I think we would all agree, going to be somewhere around 1,500 yards. Him and Amon-Ra could easily combine for total yardage 2,500 yards. And I think obviously Amon-Ra would have a bigger slice of that pie. But when you look at 2 receivers giving you possibly 2,500 yards, because I think J-Mo can get 1,000 all scrimmage yards when you look at what he can do in the run game. And just like Booner said, okay, maybe he's getting 4 catches, but in one of those catches, it could easily just be a 60-yard bomb that seals the game. You saw in Dallas last year. If the Dallas game, if the Lions walk out with the W, there's a lot more people talking about Jameson Williams in that catch. So I think when you look at that, the fact that he's wide receiver 3, but you just see him getting better and better and better, Jameson Williams is just going to be a person that makes this offense stupid and just completely unfair for NFL defenses.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, because he's not going to just get you, 60 yards, whatever. There'll be a big play in there. He has that type of potential, like to change a game in one play. He did that actually against Tampa. He had the huge touchdown that ended up, being a huge play at the time, and it ended up being the difference. So there's always those plays with J-Mo. In the NFC Championship game, he finished the season very, very well. Played it very well against the 49ers. I look at it like this. If we're going off expectations, what do you expect out of J-Mo? I expect J-Mo to be good, because that's why you drafted him. That's the type of skill set he has. That's what he's been doing all training camp. He's going to be good, and he's going to get you 800 yards receiving, and be your wide receiver 2, and be someone you can depend on, and be someone that if Amon-Ra St. Brown were to go down, he can step into that number 1 role and make plays. Like, that's what I expect. There's no more time to just wait and see. Like, now it's go time. And he even knows that too. And so do the Lions. So does Brad Holmes. Like they all look at J-Mo as, okay, let's see what you can do this year. I don't know. And I don't know about he can make the Pro Bowl this year, but the dude is a Pro Bowl caliber player. I mean, I don't know with the Lions and with Sam Laporta, like I always say, and I've said this multiple times, if you want to decide the receiving yards between Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra, it just depends on who you're higher on. I think Amon-Ra is guaranteed 1,500 yards. If you think Sam Laporta is a 1,000-yard tight end, then J-Mo's probably should be about 700-800. If you think J-Mo can be a 1,000-plus yard receiver, maybe you knock Sam Laporta down to about 800-900. Whatever you want to do.
Which is fine.
Which is fine. Yeah, and he's still going to be one of the best tight ends doing that, by the way. But one of those things are going to happen. It's really between those two players. Amon-Ra guaranteed 1,500. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I would say this. Like, I know like we usually do like the average good Pro Bowl all pro. I don't want to go like Pro Bowl. Like, I know I said I wouldn't be shocked if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, the Lions have 2 wide receivers sitting in the Pro Bowl because J-Mo was like an alternate and gets in. Like, that's where I could see like high end for J-Mo this year as he puts like 900 to 1,000 yards up. Like his best year this year, it's like 1,000 yards, and you're sitting there like, hey, he could be a Pro Bowl alternate because this guy just went to a different level. I do agree to the point, though, and this is where it gets really hard, that you have Amon-Ra, you have Sam Laporta, you have Gibbs, and you have D-Mont. Like, those are all guys that are Pro Bowl guys, essentially.
This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.